Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy here. For nerds, by nerds, hanging out with a couple of nerds.
Ryan. Ted.
And today we're going to be talking about that old black magic, Unearthed Arcana.
I feel like that needs to be like a 80s song. I looked at the paper because I'm like, did he add that just to put it in there? But no, it's actually part of the Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, they should actually turn it into a metal shirt.
Yeah.
But before we get into the Unearthed Arcana, down below in the description, you can find a link to our newsletter where you can learn how to game with Nerdarchy, get cool and exclusive bonuses, and stay up to date on all your nerdy needs. So with that, what do you guys think?
All right. Well, I mean, it's a short and sweet little PDF. It's only 3 pages, and
and part of it's a reprint.
Yeah, part of it is a reprint. It gives you the Tiefling variant, so as opposed to having just Tiefling out of the Player's Handbook, you now have the Infernal and the Abyssal Tiefling.
And you also have the Feral version that was from the Skag, the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide. So that gives you actually kind of 3 ones to play with.
No, actually, the one in the Skag is actually it actually lets you mix and match abilities. So it actually. With this extra variant and taking from that variant, you have actually a bunch of different combinations you can make.
Right.
And then
it's like from the '80s, the toy, the Monster Maker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember
Vaguely.
Yeah.
And then you get 5 cool new summon demon spells.
It's basically demon Pokemon that could turn on your party.
At first when I was reading, let's take it in order. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Let's look at the variant.
All right, so you've got the Abyssal Tiefling, which your secondary bonus goes to Con, which is always cool in this edition. You get the
opposed to those other editions when the bonus to Con totally sucks.
Yeah.
So then you get the Abyssal Arcana, which gives you the cantrips and the spells as you gain levels. You get the additional hit point. So now you have yet another option of jumping into the sorcerer.
So a couple things. First, let's talk about the spells.
Yeah.
Because this is a way different mechanic than anything else that's out there. It's far different than your infernal Tiefling because it's random.
Here's the thing. I'm okay with it being random, but if my player came to me like, I want a set list of spells, because it kind of denotes what your demonic lineage is. Like, whether you're the child of, I don't know, what's some of the demon ones, like the Varrock or the what's the
Varrock, the Belurga.
Yeah, what's the overweight one, like the heavy big one?
I don't know, it's on here.
There's the one where you summon with food. Yeah, so or the Hezru, right? Like, so it's, depending on what it is, it kind of like says that like this is the lineage of demonic lineage you tend to have.
But that being said, the Abyss is a realm of chaos.
Well, it's chaotic and random, but all those demons have set spell lists. And like you could so thematically flavor it that those spells are chosen. And
Well,
I'd be fine with
that kind of thing can always be set between a player and a GM.
Yeah.
That can make sense. It's not everything chaotic doesn't always have to be totally random all the time, 100%, because that's not chaos.
Well, true. But then again, too, it's like you don't want your player cherry picking either and be like, I'm only going to take the best abilities.
It is a little cherry picking, but they're all like they're on of the same level. Like all those spells. I mean, it's really like, is your character a manipulator, or are they more like fa slay you? That's kind of so you can thematically sort of set it to that. And I love, some people might initially say, why spare the dying on the spell list? But really, it's because look. A demon not only wants to torture you and kill you, but then it wants to bring you back to life, and spare your life, so it can do it all over again.
Yes. Yeah, well, it also gets cure wounds, so
so it can do the same thing.
And also, I believe those first level spells are cast at second level, which is kind of a big deal. It's important to note because it makes them better, because quite a few of them scale.
Right. So when you cast that cure wounds, you're putting 2d8 on it.
Or Burning Hands, Thunder Wave, all of them get a little bit better.
I thought what it was is like you're given those slots.
No, it's
like you have a second level slot.
No.
It says if you're using a second level slot, you cast them.
You cast them at that level.
It says first level spells whose effect changes cast using a spell slot of a second or higher. You cast a spell as if using a second level slot.
Right, but if you look at the first paragraph there, it says you cast a first level spell, at 5th level you can cast a second level spell. So it means that like you have those spells available and open to you. So you can cast that first level spell as your second level slot. So it's just like a little minor semantic thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So
it's not very interesting for them to watch and read it.
So it gives you a little choice and versatility on there. But yeah, so they're almost like dwarves in that they get to increase their hit point maximums, but it's not quite as good as dwarves because it's not a 1-to-1 trade-off where you
because
get
they're not
each level.
They're just not the master race.
Right, they're not the master race of dwarves. But so they're like dwarf light. They get a slight bump to con, and they get a slight bump to hit points. But they also get a +2 to charisma, which makes them fan-flippantastic sorcerers
That's what I was gonna say,
and warlocks and bards.
But,
Yeah.
so imagine going back to the old staple, going with the dragon sorcerer on these guys. Now you're getting an extra 1.5 hit points a level beyond whatever your con is.
Yeah. And also, I was thinking the Bard of Valor, College of Valor Bard, would be pretty decent as well.
Yeah, your nice little random selection of spells. Something's always going to come up that's going to be useful.
Right, but with the Tiefling, you're getting that resistance to fire, and then your dragon bloodline also going to give you resistance to something else. So you have 2 resistances in play on top of. So
As
you
long
have
as you're not
fire.
silly and take fire.
Yeah, exactly. You take fire and like lightning. You got so many bases covered there as far as like not really taking much damage. So that's
actually
fantastic.
they don't get it. They don't get the resistance to fire.
You sure about that?
Yeah, yep, it's right here. The Infernal gets the hellish resistance. These guys don't get it.
Son of a bee.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah.
So I guess you could be silly and take fire.
Yeah. They're definitely weighting it towards I guess that half a hit point.
They have a hit point and the spells.
It's pretty.
Well, you get
substantial.
spells as an infernal as well,
That's true.
and you get hellish rebuke. So
Do you think they're weighting the con? Because con's pretty important.
maybe because definitely it's not,
one of those ones that
it's not quite equal.
There's no class that says, Constitution won't help me at all, because even if for just a matter of making saving throws and having hit points, it's always going to be useful.
So do we want to move on and touch on the spells?
Yeah. Well, so the one question that I do have, which I'll have to figure out with the spells, is if those spell slots can be sacked out for more sorcery points. So then, whatever you happen to roll, it could be irrelevant. Really.
So I guess they're also slotting the thing because I've just reread it. It is your first level spells count as second level slots. So your spells are a little bit more powerful. Not much, but a little bit. But it also states that your second level spells are still only second level. So they actually make that distinction. So, but it's still once a day. I don't know if that trades off for the resistance. I don't know. But I think we've covered them. It gives you another option. So that's 2. Plus, with everything in the skag, that makes a multitude of options you can do for building a Tiefling now. But in some ways, though, I feel like it justifies what my initial reaction was to them being in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
Why not just make it a plain touched?
Yeah.
And just have, because literally you could have did, the bonus to charisma, and then depending on your sub, would determine your other stuff.
Right. Yeah, so you could literally put it anywhere you want. You could plus to the charisma.
So they could have actually snuck the Azamar right into the PHP, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, I don't work for WOTC, so, what are you going to do? So, moving on to the spells. When I read the first one, I thought this was a typo. When I read that it wasn't actually a concentration for duration up to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I started reading the spell and I realized why. Yeah. Because it may eat your face.
Yeah.
And, well, it probably won't eat your face because you probably do the blood circle thing around you. Oh, and by the way, with all the conjuration spells, as long as you have the blood from a creature...
A victim that you've recently slain doesn't have to be an intelligent, humanoid?
Yeah, humanoid from 24 hours. So these spells, to use this aspect of the spell is a little bit evil, in my opinion.
Yeah, or at least neutral that, all the people I killed were bad people. I mean, So as long as you're, I feel like you can skew neutral and still be kind of okay. You just have to do other good things to kind of counteract what you're doing.
It's really walking the line, in my opinion. But
well, it
anyway.
does say an intelligent humanoid slain within the past 24 hours. It doesn't say that you had to do it. It doesn't say that you have to scribe the circle. Just as long as it's done.
True. But but my thought is, if you're only killing them for their blood for this spell,
that's absolutely.
There's no gray. Even if they were the worst fucking person on the planet, but you just murder them because you need their blood for this spell, it's still, I think it's kind of bad. With that being said, like all these conjuration spells have that option where you can do the blood circle around you, and if the thing breaks your control, it will kill everything around you, just not you.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't make an omelet.
As long as you're not, stupid enough to cross that circle.
You can't make an omelet, that's what I always say.
So, the thing that I like best about these spells is it says, here's new spells, they're on the sorcerer and the wizard list, and it gives the, number one, spells for the GMs who want to have this kind of thing, happen. Here's some really great villainous spells to add to your book, but at the same time...
Because your villains are more than fine with doing these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you want to play a player who's not afraid to cross that line or likes to dance on that line back and forth, here you've got some spells that are happening, and you can even have it where the players are presented with the spell and they want to summon a particular one because they happen to have come across the name. And now it's like, well, the only way we're going to get the information to complete our quest is to do this. But in order to do this, we have to cross this line. What do we do? So it enters, in my mind, it gives a lot of really great possibilities for the GM, for players.
I'm just thinking of the scene where you finally encounter, like, the big bad, and he's a spellcaster. And, before, just as the battles is about to begin, he grabs his goblin page by the back of his head, slices his throat, and then uses it to draw the circle around him, and then summons the demon.
Oh, I see it as, like one of the demons that have 4 arms. So it literally grabs it, rips it in half, and just sprinkles its blood in a circle around it, and then...
Yeah, but they don't attack other demons.
He doesn't need this.
He doesn't really need the circle.
Well, he doesn't need to protect the circle, but he does do the summoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it says it's part of it. You have to do the circle in order to cast a spell.
No, that's for the protection.
Oh, okay.
That's only if you don't want them to be able to attack you.
Oh, you can scribe it. Okay, I thought...
Yeah.
My apologies, I misread.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense for a demon to do it so much, but, any other mortal caster, it definitely does. But so, it also, the interesting thing is it creates something for your players to kind of focus on and figure out, if they have the knowledge of summoning, they might be, that's a protective circle, they might know to break the circle, so now the demon could attack anybody, including the wizard.
So also part of the thing I'm thinking about as well is like, so you have the fight with all the minions fighting the party or whatever, and like the caster just kind of like dips his nail into the blood of like one of his fallen entourage that's still fighting the party. That fight's still kind of happening. Demons being summoned while that's happening, and they're still trying to deal with the hall full of things that they're fighting. And like, the fight's almost done, and demon.
Yeah, but I kind of like the WTF of him killing one of his minions in front of you and using it for the circle.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
anyway.
I like the fact of like, it does have to be a freshly slain intelligent humanoid. And the party just did it, and he's just gonna steal a little bit of that, dips his nail into it, and
so they all have this like break free mechanic, and the really fun one is the rock.
The rock's pretty cool.
He starts bargaining with everybody, like, whoever bribes me, I'll fight for you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
It's like a bidding mechanic.
Yeah, but he only does it for D6 rounds, and then he makes the offer again.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I also like the Hezru, where like you basically need a bag of holding full of food. Like when you think about it, like to haul enough food, you either have to be in like a feast hall or a banquet hall to have a good ample bribe for them, because like that much gold pieces of food, like do you have like a flock of cattle or something like that? Like
yeah, I mean that is kind of interesting that they went with at least 100 gold pieces.
Well, it's with all of them, except for the Shadow Demon, it's all...
Maybe some really good bottles of wine.
It's all something worth 100 gold.
Yeah. Well, and it also, that's going to modify the DC of making your check. So if you have if you have a feast hall full of good food, like then then you've actually really satisfied this demon to where you're going to have full control of him more than
for at
likely.
least 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you better start making checks.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's only 3 pages. You guys can go download it. Add some new options to your game. Where a lot of the Unearthed Arcana are like, okay, you have to really judge whether these are overpowered or underpowered or not. This kind of hits the mark. I think there's not a whole lot of thought that has to go into this one.
Yeah, I think that I look at this as really two-sided. The race is definitely far more designed for the players. I think that the spells, it's more even though it's got some player usage, it's far more heavily weighted towards.
It's so dark that it's kind of villainous.
Yeah, so like it really helps both sides, and they jam a lot into those 3 pages.
They sure do.
So put the link below. You guys can download it. After you go do that, why don't you leave your thoughts in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out over on nerdkey.com.
And while you're there, why don't you spend some time engaging with us on the forum. So until next time, stay nerdy.